Hi, everyone, and welcome to the South African Film Festival. I'm Collins Rex. I'm one of the festival co-directors, and I'm absolutely delighted today to be joined from various parts of South Africa and from LA by crew, a cast of luminaries, all related to the really remarkable short film, The Last Ranger. Welcome, everybody. Now, I'm going to throw to each one of you individually, and I'm going to ask you just to introduce yourself and give us a bit of context around your role in the film, and then we'll go straight into some questions to give people a little bit more insight into The Last Ranger. I will start with you, Liyabona.
Okay. Um, Hi everyone. My name is Liyabona Mroqoza. I am a young actress who played the role of Ulita in The Last Ranger.
Wonderful. Welcome. Next up, and I'm just sort of now going along my screen as I see you. Makhaola, you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, my name is Makhaola Ndebele, and I play Tabo, Liyabona's Lita's father in The Last Ranger.
Thanks very much. And Cindy.
Hi, I'm Cindy Lee. I'm the director of the amazing short film, The Last Ranger.
David.
Hi, I'm David Lee. I'm Cindy Lee's brother.
Well, that's your claim to fame, right?
I co-wrote this film along with Will and Darwin, and I executive produced, and I also act in it.
Wonderful. And Darwin.
Hi, I'm part of the producing team with Will and David, and also had a little hand in writing too.
Good stuff. And then last but by no means least, Will.
Yes, I've already been introduced, but Will Hawks, and I am the writing and producing team along with David and Darwin.
Welcome, everybody, and thanks very much for joining us. Cindy, I'm going to start with you. The Last Ranger, as anyone that has read anything about the film knows, that it's rooted in true events, and obviously those events are very much centered on the rhino poaching problem in South Africa. Which specific real-life incidents and stories inspired the narrative? And how did you take those real-life incidents and turn them into a compelling short film?
Well, the story itself is based on the life of Tundi. She's the rhino that is in the short film that we see. And there was a poaching in 2012, and she survived that poaching. So she inspired our story. And, what was really important for us is that there is such an epidemic with rhino poaching, as you know, not everybody does actually. And we found the best way to tell the story is through a narrative, is to fall in love with characters, go on a journey with these incredible characters. The rhino is one of the characters, but only one. And you fall in love with the characters in the story and what is happening. And it seems to have had such an amazing impact on people because it is such a powerful story that happens to be about rhino poaching, that the impact has just been extraordinary. And we are all really just so proud of this film.
And of course, you've been acknowledged for the film and its impact and its quality in many circles, including being nominated for an Oscar for Best Short Film. So, congratulations for that. And we know that it takes a great deal for those nominations to actually occur. So that is testament to all of you and the work that went into making the film. The writers, Darwin, Will, David. The film obviously is about ecological urgency. The rhino poaching is front and foremost, but there's a combination of personal grief, of familial duty. How do you balance that? How do you approach the challenges of weaving a narrative and a story that is so very real and so personal with conveying the message of the ecological drama that is unfolding in this country at this stage?
I'll kick that off because that was a sort of metamorphosis of the script. I brought the story to Will and Darwin, and the genesis of it was the background of Tundi, and a story of a father with his family and survival. And when I brought it to Will and Darwin, the storylines weren't as developed, as in depth as they were when we finally got to the shoot date. So the genesis of it was the story of Thandi and the rhinos and the people surrounding it. And then Will and Dar, if you guys want to pick up from there with regarding the massaging of the layers, because that really happened, I would say formidably once you guys stepped in.
Thank you. Will, do you want to speak to that? Well, I mean, basically, it was a story which at some point we decided it was going to have a young girl and the father, and there's going to be a female ranger. So that was kind of a big change. And it was sort of a natural, combination of us sitting around and just talking about how we can weave these stories. So every single character has a moral dilemma, and that nobody was painted in one note, really. Obviously, we had the incredible performance of Makhaola, who's the father, who is someone we want to love because he carves animals, he loves his daughter, and he's trying to do the right thing for his family. And without giving away too much of the plot at this point, you suddenly understand how nothing's black and white.
Yeah,
Well,
I think when David brought the story, we ourselves are conservationists and environmentalists at heart, as well as storytellers and filmmakers. But I know that not everyone thinks about that. It's not top of mind for a lot of people, especially rhinos, because they only live in a few parts of the world. So if you're not adjacent to that, it's just not a part of your life. And we wanted people to care about that. But what people do care about is their family and providing for their family and finding purpose in their life and protecting things that they care about. So we thought if we could weave some of those themes into this story, we could then kind of kick people in the heart a little bit and get them riled up and caring about these majestic animals that we were already in love with.
and what a way to do it. And of course, writing a script, words on a page, are just words on a page until they're brought to life by the actors who embody the characters and who bring to us, the viewers, everything that you had hoped as a writer would be conveyed on the page. So, Liyabona, tell us a little bit about your character.
I think that my character, I fell in love with my character. I honestly did, because I felt so many similarities in the way she behaves and how she is just in general. Her curiosity just sort of like kind of resembles me in a way, but also her, in a way, it sort of makes me think about myself and how I would perceive things. I was like, love it.
Wonderful. And I think anybody that watches the film will be enchanted by your character and by your portrayal of her. But all those of you that were actors in the film, it happens in a pretty rugged environment. I mean, there's nothing easy about where the film was shot or the way in which it was shot. So did the environment affect your performance? And I'll start with you, Liyabona, and then I'll throw to Makhaola and also to David. How did the environment affect you?
What's funny is everyone's like always asking me, "Aren't you scared? Weren't you scared? Weren't you scared?" And I'm just like, I was just so excited to just be there and meet the real animals. Like, I was just so excited.
Well, that's wonderful. Excitement is always a good way to carry you. Makhaola, tell us about your experiences in that environment, and did that bring anything to your character?
Yeah, so it happened it was during COVID, and the Eastern Cape, which I'm in the Eastern Cape at the moment, And it's just a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful environment. So being in nature, seeing the animals, and yeah, so that was a wonderful, wonderful experience just being there. And then the team, I got there slightly a little bit after everyone. I walked into an environment where you just got a sense of a group of people who had already formed a bond, and were looking forward to just doing this great work. So walking in that environment was very warming, and it just felt like that was what was meant to happen at the time. It was really it's one of a kind experience, and I think we all sensed that something special was happening. I mean, I never thought it would travel this far, but after the experience, one just felt that it was a time well spent.
Thanks very much, Makhaola. We had a bit of a dropout there, so David, I'm going to throw back to you. The physicality of it, because it does get pretty physical at one point, and again, without giving away too much of the story. Was that a challenge? Was that something which just added a bit of oomph and adrenaline to the whole experience, or was it something that you had to grapple with?
Both. I think it was definitely something that we embraced. The whole idea, when I originally came up with this idea, I spoke to my friend William Foles, whose farm it was where we were shooting, whose reserve we were shooting on. And I said we wanted to bring everyone to the reserve and shoot on the reserve. So I knew from the beginning there was going to be a challenge. And having grown up in that environment, having gone to schools in the Eastern Cape, I was familiar with that kind of territory. So it wasn't too much of a stretch for me. But you have to be very careful that you're bringing everyone along with you. And just because I can manage it well, you have to be very aware of your cast and everyone else. And certainly, I did have one moment where I was mending a fence, and we were standing at the fence, and of course my tiny brain doesn't register that this is an electrified fence. And I was reaching through, and I was very busy acting and getting going, and of course I touched the fence. Oh my gosh.
Not pleasant.
Yeah, I was reminded very quickly that we're not on a set, that this is live. And Cindy and the rest of the guys can attest to it. We had lions roaming around. We had to be very aware. Our rangers were constantly on scouting, scouting the area, making sure that we were safe and there weren't anything coming too close to us that shouldn't have been. So we had all of that to contend with. And of course, you've got the weather and you've got the actual environment of being out there in the day. And the fact that we were able to get everything in the way we did, speaks volumes to Cindy for sure. And also, everyone just trusted everybody. We knew it was going to be tough going in there, and we knew we had a very limited time constraint, and we knew we had to get it done. You have the animals that you're dealing with. The days that we actually shot with the real rhinos, we've got Liyabona and Avumile driving the hero Jeep, the hero vehicle, and we have to get that placed perfectly with the rhinos, who aren't tame rhinos. It's can't be like, no, guys, can you just wait there? We got to get the camera turned around. So you're dealing with these crazy elements that we've never thought of, dealing with before. So there is that stress and that excitement and that sense of urgency. And I think that definitely came across, the reality of that when you get those shots of the Jeep and all the actors in the scene with the rhinos, or in the dirt. It's real dirt and it's real rhinos. And if people are falling, they're falling. It's not like they're acting. So it was beautiful.
So there was no rhino whisperer who said, "Could you just, move that rump just a little bit so that it's less in shot?"
And
Or
you know what made it really tricky as well, Collins, is we had to, first of all, it's an active game reserve. Because it was during COVID, we were very fortunate that we had the whole game reserve to ourselves for 4.5 days to shoot the scene. So we literally were the only other vehicles there. So we weren't having to shoot around other vehicles. But what it meant, because it's an active game reserve, is you're not allowed to get out of the vehicles when you're around the animals, even the rhinos. That's what you're not allowed to stand up in the Jeep, and you're not allowed to get out of the Jeep. So we had our hero vehicle with our 2 actors in it, and then we had a Jeep with all the crew in it and the camera. So we were following them. So if the rhinos came out of the bush, there was the moment to shoot the scene. We had to move our hero vehicle in front so I could get them both in the same shot. And then we had to move the camera vehicle so that we could get them in the same shot, because we always wanted the audience to know we were in the same place at the same time. We didn't want to feel like we were just cutting away to different rhinos. So when we had the opportunity, we had to do that. So it was so funny because poor Darwin, who kept going through the edit over and over again and over and over again to look for shots. Every time I had the perfect shot, the rhino would turn around and put his bum in the camera. I'm like, dude, you need to see your wall, not your backside. So there were so many great shots, and we'd have to go, let's don't wait, let's just wait for them to turn around, and then they don't turn around, so we got to move the car, and then we got to move the other car, and then we got the shot, and we're about to roll, and he turns around again. It was like, so poor Darwin had to go through hundreds of hours of footage to find the moments when the rhinos were reacting the way they were.
to get all the rhino butts.
On the last day when we went to get the hero shot of Thandi, and we had one bull rhino who wasn't thrilled with us being there. So we were filming the crash. So Thandi was there with her calf, and there was a crash of rhinos. And we had one particular guy who wasn't thrilled with us being there. And the rangers kept telling us, no, don't get out yet, don't get out yet. And our cameraman had to get out and get some shots. Our camera operator had to jump out and get some shots. And his eyeballs, when he was told to get out, okay, you should get out and get the shot now. He's like, are you sure? Is this okay? I'm going to get out now. Is this, and he got the shot. And then there was one point he had to get back in. It was like, okay, rhino's moving. Can he get back in? Whew, he moved fast. He moved very quickly to get back in that truck.
I think, Darwin, you need to let us have a reel of outtakes.
Yeah, we have a whole plethora of different aspects.
That in itself would make some great bonus content. There's one other thing that I really want to talk about, because we've talked about the writers. You write the script, the actors embody the script and bring it to life. The director kind of keeps it all together. The editor edits out all the rhino bottoms and makes it all hang together and turns into a story at the end of the day. But there's another crucial element, and I think this film has a really touching and moving element, and that is the score. The score composed by John Powell and the Thanda Choir that just bring to life this environment through sound. Cindy, how did you choose John Powell, and how did he choose the choir, or was it a group collaboration to come up with that?
Yeah, I think I will let Will and Dar talk to that, because they're the geniuses who brought both of those, both of them on board. So over to you guys.
Well, maybe you tell us a little bit about the score.
Go for it,
buddy. well, basically,
Will was not a silent partner. I just want you to know.
I'm beginning to think he was.
I think Will's got a cough, so yeah. So I'll fill in and he can join in. Basically the score we knew was going to be very important, and we tried quite a few different options, and we had a lot of help from some tremendous musicians. And in that process, we'd met John Powell, and he, through a long story, he eventually offered to help us. And then he asked us to go and find other South African musicians. So Will had reached out to Loyolo, who was a musician from the Eastern Cape, and he brought in this incredible throat singing choir. And then John's partner had heard the Thanda Choir on Instagram, and he said that the voice of Ava was particularly special, and he obviously has an ear for these things. So we reached out, and then Will and I worked with them, and they started to compose some stuff themselves. And then John was very kind to allow allow us to come and sit with him in the studio while he sort of plucked lots of bits of music together and just gave us an incredible amount of time. And, he just donated everything for us for the, just because he's such a kind human being. And we eventually put together this piece, really.
Wonderful. And on that note, another word of congratulations to all of you. In 28 minutes, you've managed to convey a sense of family ties, sacrifice, great drama, conservation, and the need for us all to be aware of that, and so much more. And you've tied it up into one very compelling package. So thank you to all of you for bringing this film to the screen, and thank you very much for joining us at the South African Film Festival and for today's interview, which, as we've now discovered, has been a bit of a reunion for you all. So I'm happy to take that credit. Absolutely. We're delighted that you could join us. And for all those of you who are wondering about The Last Ranger, how to watch it, where to watch it, there's only one place you go for all the information. You can watch the trailer, you can book your online passes, you can book your tickets, and you go to saff.org.au, saff.org.au. And remember, the festival opens on the 4th of May and runs until the 31st. Thanks, everyone. Have a wonderful day and a wonderful evening. And we look forward to seeing all your next projects.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Thanks.
for
Thank
having us.
you.